Hello, true duelists. My name is Craig Fee, and welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Update. The leaks are out for the TCG version of Dimension Force, and there aren't very many surprises. Therion will be the TCG name for the deck with no weird S at the end, and has two secret rares. Borea, the Spell and Trap Searcher, and most notably, and to no surprise, Regulus the King will be the free Omni Negate in a secret rare. Also secret rare are Alba Lenatus, which I'm hoping I wrote down correctly. I probably should have proofread that. Whoops! So Despio will get another expensive card to replace Albus, as well as the Scareclaw Link 3, the cool new Psychic Synchro monster, Odd Eyes Pendulum Ritual, and most notably for Pendulum players, Beyond the Pendulum, the Electromite replacement, is secret rare as well. Because of course it is. Oh, and Libromancer Fire. Can't wait to buy a box, hope for the king, and instead get a liberal child. This does reveal the effect of the liberal child, however, and that is to reveal a ritual monster in your hand to special summon itself, and when special summoned, adds one Libromancer card from deck to hand. Both are once per turn, and neither makes the guy on the card as cool as he wants to be, with red hair, red glasses, and a red jacket. Mystigirl is one of their new level 4 rituals revealed, that if summoned using monsters on the field, makes your ritual monsters untargetable, and if special summoned, can target one monster the opponent controls to negate its effects and make its attack 0. That's right. Somehow worse Necros of Colossalus. Wow. Fire Burst is fire, but as a ritual monster, and with burst in its name. If summoned using monsters on the field as tribute, it makes itself indestructible by battle and gives it double piercing damage. It also can make 2 attacks on monsters per turn regardless of what was used to summon it, and when a monster declares an attack, can banish a Libromancer ritual monster in your grave to give it 200 attack. That's not once per turn, so I guess it could get beefy quick if you run enough Libromancer rituals. I don't know why they gave them the War Rock treatment, dude. I got nothing. Libromancer Realized is their new continuous spell that can reveal a Libromancer ritual monster in hand to summon a token with the same level but no attack or defense. And while you control that token, you are locked into Libromancers. But it's a cute way to get free materials for ritual summon these turns, so that's nice too. Libromancer Bonded is a new ritual spell that does all the standard ritual spell stuff, summoning any Libromancer by tributing from hand or field, and if you use it to summon Libromancer Fireburst specifically, by tributing Libromancer Firestarter on the field specifically, that ritual monster can't be destroyed or banished by card effects. That's neat. Libromancer Prevented is the new trap, a continuous one that while you control a Libromancer monster, lets you target a face-up monster the opponent controls to make it unusable as material for a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link summon. And in Archetype, no material isn't horrible, but what is horrible is that this card destroys itself during the end phase if you don't control a Libromancer ritual monster. So, as was the case with the first wave, the deck seems underwhelming, to say the least, but not unplayable. A better fate than Starry Night, I suppose, and with enough anime-looking fools in it to appeal to Yu-Gi-Oh's core demographic. So I suppose that's a win. Also revealed in leaks was a new Pendulum Fusion monster, and most notably an instant fusion target. Traditionally, it would need any 2 Pendulum monsters to summon, and its monster effect is that if it's destroyed in the monster zone, it can be placed in one of your scales. Its scale effect is to place another monster from face-up in your extra deck into the other scale, effectively giving you free full scales. And as a scale 1, it could make pendulums a little more generic. Will this be good? Won't be bad. Doesn't seem terrible at the very least. In terms of will this make the price of instant fusion rise? No. No, because it's a good pendulum card, and while pendulums are fine, they aren't broken. So that coupled with the fact that instant fusion has like 11 reprints, it's not, don't worry about it. I didn't look to see if the price of instant fusion has drastically gone up in the week since this was revealed, but I did look 2 minutes ago and there were still copies of it for $1, so that's all I gotta say. And then there's also the new Navy Dragon Mech, a water counterpart to Vermilion Mech, only 6 years later. The blue one is also level 9, also looks dope, but is actually not half bad as opposed to the Vermilion mech. If special summoned, you can target face-up monsters your opponent controls up to the number of tuners in your grave and negate their effects until the end of the turn. And if it was synchro summoned and then destroyed by card effect and sent to the grave, you can target one tuner in your grave to add it to your hand. Have at it, VW. You're still good. I promise. Also, F's in the chat this week for our boy Marauding Captain, an old Yu-Gi-Oh staple that saw play even as recently as some Warrior Good Stuff decks in 2018. He's finally been power crept, with Colonel on C-String being both the dumb name and the new level 4 with the same effect as the Captain, but to summon 2 level 4 lower monsters from your hand instead. Differences being, Colonel here summons in defense position and does not have the dupe lock effect that the OG still has, so it does still have that going for it. It's not fully replaced because dupe locks are relevant. Copium. Omega Judgment is both what I pass on my friends whenever they activate the card's skill drain on me, and a new trap that can pop a monster in the spell and trap zone to destroy 2 cards the opponent controls. It exists. And the last new card from Dimension Force is Backup Team, a trap that draws cards equal to the number of cards your opponent controls, and then returns the same number of cards from their hand to the bottom of the deck in any order. Does that sound useless to you? Don't worry. During the end phase, if it's in your graveyard and the opponent controls more cards than you do, it can reset itself on the field, but is banished when it leaves the field. Yeah, it's useless. I'm just going to move on. The last bit of news from Dimension Force I'll go over is so far 2 Starlights have been confirmed. Predictably, the King will be Starlight since it's one of the good cards of the set, but the reprint Starlight will be Ghost Bell. An interesting one since if I'm not mistaken, this is the first generic Starlight that any deck can play that players would want 3 of. Thankfully for me, my work didn't pay me at all this past week, so I don't have to worry about even getting the chance to spend that money anyways. Thanks. Lastly, for new cards this week, Duelists of Pyroxene got another new Amazonas monster revealed. Warrior Chief is a new level 5 that can summon itself from hand for free if you control no monsters or if all monsters you control are Amazonas. And if normal or special summoned, can set any Amazonas spell or trap or a copy of Polymerization from deck to field. But doing so will make it so you can only attack with Amazonas monsters for the rest of the turn. It seems pretty solid to me. It plays around Ash by both setting the card to the field instead of searching it, and by being an Amazonas monster, which means no opponent would know how or when to Ash what anyways. In non-Dimension Force news, another weekend passed and another YCS. This time in Guadalajara, Mexico. Congratulations go out to Andre Torres for winning the event as not his first YCS win, but as his 5th. Talk about a good player. With another win by Despia, it seems the deck is going to be better than some players anticipated, admittedly myself included. With Branded being another engine that can be teched into decks, it's shaping up for a more interesting meta. Or at least God, I hope so. Who's playing what engines? Which ones might be hit in the upcoming ban list? Will I ever upload content of actual duels? We'll have to wait and see. Master Duel also had a somewhat substantial update, with more cards receiving animations when summoned, and some spell and trap cards getting animations as well. That's right, when Solemn Judgment is used, God himself will rise from the screen to tell you no. And Crossout Designator will point with the authority only a white dude with a weapon feels he has. In community news, another week, another episode of the Progression series. This week was a rematch of last week through and through. Not only do I not remember any of the pulls from this set, but the same decks were played to the same results. So does it really matter what I forgot? You tell me. Really, the takeaway from this is that either Gage doubled down to deny any accusations that he threw last week, or that he genuinely believed Clown Control was still viable. It wasn't, but one of those 2 takes is funnier than the other, so that's the one I'm reporting as news. The score for the series is now 6-9 in favor of Gage. Hold up. That's the sex number. You know what? Best episode of the series. Best episode of the entire series to date. Also this week, cyberbullying by YCS champion and certified cool guy Pack. After seeing the top 8 results for YCS Guadalajara, he posted this tweet. I'm sure was very well received by Esala. I apologize if I pronounced that name wrong, but what a great tweet. In all actuality, he did apologize almost immediately, and I don't think anyone was truly upset by this, but the unintentional roast was too great to pass up on sharing with the world. Also big this week were posts about the new Collectr App, an app designed to track the value of your collection of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Because as we all know, this is not a card game, it's a stock market. Twitter was filled with people posting their value of their collections, with special mention going to King Scarlet. That's quite an impressive of laundry dragons there. Was this a sponsored thing going on? No, not to my knowledge, just everyone thought it was cool. That being said, as someone who has seen an ad before, man did it feel like a sponsor for a bit there. Still, if you want to check it out, see how much your collection is worth, it is seeing praise from just about everyone who uses it. And no, that's not a sponsor from me. I don't want to know how much I've spent on this game. Even if some of my cards have increased in value, I live in fear of that dollar amount. And so that wraps it up for this week's update. As always, I'm your host, Craig Fee. Make sure you subscribe to YGO Strats for next week's update and so that you too can become a true duelist.